Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's edition. Today here, ladies and gentlemen, children all, we have a very prominent personality. She's here with us to break it down. From back there in Africa to here in Canada, she has championed many events. And so today, we're here to break down what this personality has done from back in Africa. Right now in Canada, I think she's been here for over 3 decades. And she has done so much. She has a passion for so many things. But over and above, her passion is more with generational wealth, family, and all that it takes for the immigrant to hold their own here in Canada. How we'll start this is to welcome our very own Dr. Rose Joshua. Welcome to this program.
Thank you, Chairman. Thanks for having me.
As you say, when you meet somebody of such caliber, you begin to ask, how do I talk to her? Because she has all that it takes. But then we'll start to ask, who is Dr. Rose Joshua?
Well, Dr. Rose Joshua is a very, very simple person. I like to say that I keep a very low profile. But a bit about myself, I'm from Port Harcourt, Nigeria. I came to Canada in 1991 to do my PhD back then. So I went to the University of Ifa, it is called, for my bachelor's and did my master's there, and then taught at the Federal University of Tech, Owerri, for a bit. And then in 1991, I came out on a Canadian Commonwealth scholarship to do my PhD. So that's how we came. I came with my husband at the time, yes. So I studied at the University of Manitoba, Department of Computer Science. So I have a PhD in computer science from 1996.
As you can hear, people, you hear how she is articulating her educational pursuits. And you will ask, when you came here at that time, I know it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
What were the challenges? Because whatever you have in Africa there will be challenged here. What were your experiences? How were you able to sort of do the math, like to come into the Canadian system, so to speak?
Yeah. So back then, we landed in Manitoba.
Yeah.
So the biggest challenge was the winter. So we came from plus 30, plus 40 degrees in Nigeria to minus God knows what in Winnipeg. So we experienced winter the first semester on arrival. And, winter is not something you can explain to anybody.
No.
They have to experience it.
Themselves.
So that was the first shock. But also there was things like food. So, I was pregnant when we came.
Okay.
And so as a pregnant lady, I craved certain things. So I wanted roasted corn, and I couldn't get it. I remember one day I sent my husband out in the middle of the night to go look for roasted corn. And he's like, I don't know what to do with you. There's no roasted corn here. So you got to figure out what to do, alternatives. So the food we learned to adapt. So we learned to use semolina instead of gari. Pounded down was difficult to get in those days.
Okay.
In the 90s in Manitoba. So it's over the years that now there's African shops.
Sure.
So we're spoilt now because there's food from home. But back then it was a difficult one. So we had to adapt.
Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you see, at that time, how was the African population here at the time?
Really small. Like, to be honest, I don't have the numbers, but now we've bloomed. We have multiplied. But then we were not many. I have to say, but I don't have the numbers, unfortunately.
I know people in my community who came here at that time.
Uh-huh.
They, even though they were highly educated back there, their educational pursuits their qualifications have been challenged here. you have to go over to sort of show and to prove the unreasonable doubt that you gain, because they look at our education system back there as very low. So how are you able to? But you say you graduated here, so
Yes.
what do you do?
So I was one of the lucky ones because I came to Canada as a Commonwealth scholar.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the Commonwealth would have vetted the education before
That's right.
they give you the scholarship. So I didn't have a burden of proof, which a lot of our Africans have when they come here, because the Commonwealth basically knew and they verified my master's degree.
Okay.
So I got my bachelor's in 1980. Master's, no, that's not correct. I started university in 1980.
Okay.
I got my bachelor's in 85 and the master's in 88. And so they verified all of that before I got the scholarship in 1990 and then came out in 91. Yeah.
So after your educational post, did you work? Or were you able to, you taught here or you just went to work?
Absolutely. So as a PhD student, we worked automatically.
Good.
So I was blessed, or we were blessed, that we got the Commonwealth money, stipend, they called it. And I also got paid as a university teaching assistant. So it was double money.
Double money for you.
Looking back, I think that if we had purchased an apartment or a house, or maybe like a townhouse, it would have been a great idea. But we didn't know. We had so much money, we didn't know what to do with it back then, right? So I was one of the lucky ones.
We're coming to that because I see you are passionate about immigrants.
Yes.
Getting this apartment thing and getting their own stuff.
Real estate, yes.
When did this thing, I saw you, when we had the meet and greet the last time, you laid emphasis on generational wealth or something of this sort.
Yes.
So where was this coming from?
Where do I start?
Start anywhere.
Anywhere. So it's really that I'm a first generation African.
Yeah.
And I had all my kids were born here.
Yeah.
But there's other people who maybe didn't have their kids here, but brought them from Africa. So regardless, we're a first generation. So the thing is, many times people think that, when I retire, I'm going to go back to Africa. It doesn't happen that way. Okay. And then some people go, when I die, I want my kids to bury me in Africa. Again, it doesn't happen that way because the kids have a mind of their own. And so bottom line is that we are here to stay.
Do you think so?
Absolutely not think so. I know 1,000,000% so. We are here to stay. We're not going anywhere. Okay? Let me explain that. So the original Canadians are the native Indians, right? So immigrants started coming in from Great Britain, France, so from Europe, right?
Yeah.
I have a colleague of mine, or I had a colleague back in the early 2010s who said he's a sixth generation Scottish, okay? And his great-great-great-grandfather was taken back to Scotland to be buried. So even the Europeans, at some point, had a connection with back home for them. But over time, as more generations are born, they see themselves as Canadians. So they lose the connection to Scotland or France or what have you. But with Scotland and France and Europe generally, there are many generations in. So some of them are 6 generations in, 10 generations in. But for us, we're just 1 or 2 generations. So we're just at the beginning. So we think that we're going to go back. But our generations coming will not go back. because this is the only home they know. You understand? This is the only home they know. So we better make it right for them.
Even me, not quite recently, when I lost my wife, we had it came from her that if anything happens, because I was here 10 years by myself before my family joined me.
Yeah.
So because of what I did, my wife did say to the children, I think it was one of our anniversaries, and then she said, because of what my husband did for us, if anything were to happen to me or my husband, take us home, because we belong back home, which I strongly believe in.
Mm-hmm.
I touch on this because I don't think my kids are thinking the way I'm thinking. I'm
Absolutely
even telling
not.
them now that if anything were to happen to me, I will go join my wife back there when the time comes, maybe in another 50 years, I guess. Am I
Yes,
right?
another 100
People, are you
years.
listening? Maybe
100
another
years.
50 years,
100 more.
That's right. So I have that thinking, that feeling that I will have to join my ancestors back home, not here.
Uh-huh.
But now you just paint another picture that makes some sense.
Well, it makes absolute sense. So here's the thing. Because in your specific case,
Yeah.
your children have already, you and your children have already honored your wife's request to take her remains back home. Mm-hmm. So they will have to, I would say, out of duty, fulfill the second half, so to take you back home. But for their generation, they ain't going nowhere. They're here.
I want to believe so.
That's the way it's going to be. Like, they don't have any connection with back home. Like, we call it back home. Yeah. They don't call it back home. They say, my parents are from. When you see a younger generation kid, they say, where are you from? They say, I'm Canadian. My mom and dad are from Nigeria. That's what they say.
Yeah.
So because they say so, they identify themselves first and foremost as Canadians. I don't see my children going to Nigeria for anything except maybe to go visit for a week or so. That's it. It's a tourist place like the Bahamas.
My people, you are listening. You are listening to this podcast. Our aim is to bring in the stories and experiences of everyday people and even celebrities right on this floor. As we continue with our very own ebullient Dr. Rose Joshua. The name Dr. Rose Joshua, the name Joshua symbolizes two people. A man of God who passed away a while ago, Dr. Pastor Prophet T.B. Joshua, and of course a young professional boxer who hails from Nigeria, but he's a British man now. He boxes he's an heavyweight boxer who is making the waves for Britain.
Yeah.
And do you have any lineage with these people?
So, Joshua is such a powerful name.
Yeah.
I've heard of T.B. Joshua. I never met him.
Okay.
And I've heard about the boxer kid young man in Europe. So my Joshua is the Joshua that broke down the walls of Jericho.
Oh, yeah. You hear that? The Joshua that broke down the walls of Jericho.
The champion of war.
That's right. That's right.
Yes, so my Joshua is from the Bible. Yeah.
So that's right.
Yes.
In our discussions, we're coming back to your generational wealth thing. In most of, I listened to your very educative video, series of them, while I was able to listen to only a few. Most of your deliberations have been based on biblical lines.
Yes.
Why is that so?
Well, in him I live and move and have my being.
That's right.
Right? So basically, regardless of who we are, we need to be rooted in God. Because without God, we have no strength. We have no direction. We have no purpose. So everyone needs to kind of calm down. Everybody should come down from their high horse and submit themselves to God. So everything we do, everything we have, we get the ability from God because He holds our very breath. If He takes my breath away, I'll drop dead.
I asked this because I'm privileged. I was privileged to have worked with the Edmonton Public Schools where folks frown at the very mention within the system about biblical or about religion, especially the Bible.
Yes.
So I want to believe you worked for the government.
Yeah.
Did your belief in this thing had anything to do, like, to any effect on your job?
No. So here's the thing. We're human beings, and we have different spheres of existence. Work is work. Home is home. Yeah. Okay. So if the system says, this is a work, this is not church, you respect the system, you do your work, you focus on it, you be the best in whatever you do. You show everybody that you're better than them all, regardless of who or what they are. You're the best in your role. And then at home, you teach your children about God. Here's the thing, because we have our faith back home.
Yeah.
When we come here, many people lose themselves. They lose their faith. They lose who they are. The children go amok. It shouldn't be so. We need to ground our children in the house. It is the responsibility of the parents to ground their children the way they want. We're told you should teach a child the way he should go. When he's grown up, he will not depart from it.
Yes.
Right? So regardless of the system, we must teach our children what we want.
That's that. Here you go.
Mm-hmm.
I did, in our discussions the other day, you were poised about this generational work, whereby we should build a future, save for the future for the grandkids.
Yes.
Where is that coming from?
A good man lays up inheritance for his children's children.
That's right.
Okay? Not just for his children, but enough for the next generation and maybe three more. Third generation. So where do I begin? We struggle as immigrants. We struggle with many things.
Yeah.
Let me start with education. Okay. Many times when we come in as adult immigrants, I'm gonna say like a 50-year-old man, and the wife is not too far away, 45-year-old female, for example. Many of us come in as adults, like old, mature adults.
Yeah.
So at the very beginning, we're thinking survival. Okay? We're thinking, I gotta put food on the table. I have children to feed.
Yeah.
But one thing we realize is, even when you come into Canada on a points system, you come in as a professional, where the immigration system tells you, you are a, what do they call it now? A professional class immigrant.
Yeah.
Then we come in expecting to be placed in a high position.
High caliber.
Yes. But this immigration system is not like that. The immigration system is bringing in labor to start from the bottom.
Yeah.
So regardless of whether you have a PhD back home or a master's degree back home or you're an engineer, they actually want to force you to start from the bottom. So there's all these systemic blockades, like, you have to have a Canadian experience. Where am I going to get the Canadian experience when I just came in today?
You didn't give the person the opportunity to
Where am I going to get the Canadian experience from?
Yeah.
So the system deliberately frustrates us.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's right.
But then, if we are smart, a lot of people then decide, okay, I'm going to take some certifications.
Okay.
You got to take whatever it takes to bridge that gap to enable us to get a proper Canadian position. Some people are blessed that they don't have to do that, but a lot more have to take additional training. So I think that is where many of us struggle, just from the beginning, where it's like, okay, And now I have to go to school for another 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And we look at the time it's going to take and we go, oh, 4 years is such a long time. I don't have time to do that. Let me take this job. And so we settle for the low-end jobs.
Settle for less.
We
so to speak.
settle for less. And unfortunately, we settle for that job. We don't focus on that education that's needed to bridge the gap.
Yeah.
And that job is paid so little. Then we take another job. Okay? So there goes your 24 hours because you're working 8 hours on this job, 8 hours on the other job,
16 hours. Good.
8 hours back home to take care of your family. Yeah. When are you going to sleep? When are you going to take care of your husband or wife? When are you going to take care of the kids? That's where the problem starts.
That's right.
So we get caught in this systemic trap, and it's really a rat race. But my advice is this. We have to take the time to get the education to bridge that gap. We must prioritize it because we need to struggle for those 4 years to get the education. Otherwise, we struggle for the next 40 years.
Okay.
So sacrifice for those 4 years. I'm saying 4.
Yeah.
It could be more. It could be less.
Yeah.
So that we can then enjoy the remaining 40. If you don't focus on that educational piece at the beginning, we struggle for life.
Sorry.
Okay? So that puts us into the poverty layer.
Okay. I see no point. Because what happened, if I could put it into context in my own situation, just imagine I have been working in the media back home for, let me see, if I want to add my years back then, now it's about 45 years or more. From my school days, I've been in the media. After schooling, I went straight into the journalism school, I did my courses, and then got a job, worked for several newspapers, and then I got a job with the state broadcaster, SLBS. I traveled extensively, covered events all over. I was in Nigeria, I was in Ghana, I was in Cape Verde, I was in Kenya. So many places, accompanying delegations and sporting delegations and other conferences.
Wow.
And then I came here in 2001. With all that experience, I came with a visa, 6 months in England and 6 months in Canada to cover the World Games. I mean, I was stamped, my passport read that journalist. And that was my third passport that brought me to Canada. And then after the games, I thought it fit that that is, by then, when I came here, our country was at war. You would have heard about the Blood Diamonds in Sierra Leone.
Yes.
So when I came here, the war was like towards the end, but the only Freetown was relatively safe. The entire country was still under rebel control. There were skirmishes all over, even out of the city. So when I came here, I saw the reason, I saw it, I thought it fit that I had the opportunity for my family to stay. I got my stay. So after like a year, when I got my permit to work, I had the conviction that I would be able to do my job with all my, I bought all my documents. I even bought newspapers, which I did and stuff.
Yeah. And
these guys are telling me, young guys who I can even teach, telling me that I have to go back to school for 4 years. I got so mad. I even, one of these radio stations, I don't know if it's the one downtown, telling me, oh, your voice is good, but you need to get the Canadian experience. I said, for God's sake, if you don't prove me, give me the opportunity. If you say I have accent, fine. You don't expect me, a grown man like me, to talk like my grandchild. I don't have that accent. But allow me to use my accent to reach out to my people.
Yeah.
You know? So I got frustrated. I did lots of other, as you pointed out, lots of other mean jobs, which had nothing to do with journalism.
Yeah.
So from the very beginning, I got frustrated. I got pissed off. I said, no, I cannot see myself, a grown man. I was thinking about supporting my family. My wife was not working. She was a housewife. Although she was working, but not enough to support the family in my absence.
Yeah.
So from that point, I got frustrated. I did lots of menial jobs only to make ends meet. This is just to buttress your explanation just now about how. So if had I known if I had met somebody like you, maybe I would have said, okay, I've met Dr. Rose. Let me just, but then I looked at myself, what do I have to learn in journalism anymore?
Yeah.
I can edit my own paper, I can do my own, just like we're doing now.
Yeah.
But then I got frustrated. I said, no more to schooling for me. I'm thinking of bringing my family, my sons and daughters to come go to school, and then you tell me to go to school?
Yeah.
So these are all pointers. So now you are advising an eloquent Dr. Rose Joshua, who is advising us that if I had met her at the time I came, it would have been the other way around. Because by then I would have been able to make enough money to prepare or to make room for my generation. That brings me to this point. Back on the point of catering for the younger generation.
Yes.
I want you to go further.
So the Canadian society, the economics here work differently from back home. Okay. So to be wealthy back home, you're a business person, you build houses, and, there's all kinds of ways we make money. But in Canada, one of the easiest ways to become wealthy is through insurance.
Insurance?
Yes. And it's not just wealth for the next generation only, it's also wealth for yourself. Okay? So, where do you start? So let me give you an example. Let's say somebody owns a house. Okay? They have a mortgage. So let's say somebody is paying a mortgage of $4,000 a month. Okay? And then they have an accident at work, and they don't have something like as simple as disability insurance. Just that. They're not dead. They just broke their leg.
Okay.
They cannot work. So the income stops. Okay? So when the income stops, if that person does not have another means of paying their mortgage coming in as income, then they are forced to spend their savings. Okay? It's not easy to save money.
Okay.
But if somebody is forced to spend their savings, they're now tending into, basically it's a negative wealth. All right? So disability insurance is one way to save yourself from having to spend your savings. Okay, so that's one. Because if we don't pay that mortgage, guess what? The banks will come and foreclose. Okay? So that's a very simple example using disability. A lot of people have disability insurance at work. But sometimes it's not enough. Sometimes the employers only give you 60%. Overall is 85% by law, but a lot of employers stop at 60. So then you don't even have enough money to make ends meet. So that's one. But that's a living benefit. Another living benefit is actually a very critical one. One of the things that I really, really, really preach against is this GoFundMe thing. It's a continental disaster. It's a continental shame to Africans where every corner you turn, there's a GoFundMe. Which country is it? It's an African country. Everywhere you go, GoFundMe. It's either somebody is sick or somebody is dead. Okay? Yeah. But this is not death now. This is somebody who is alive. Yeah. But then life happens. You know life happens?
Yeah, it does.
Some of the life that happens is things like cancer, stroke, whatever. Anything that can stop an accident, anything that can stop the person just suddenly stop, where income stops. So that if somebody has cancer and then they're taking treatment at the hospital, so thank God in Canada, treatment is free, okay? If it was in the US, it's a different story.
Completely.
I know people in the US who have sold their house for cancer treatment, and still didn't get
They didn't
better.
make it.
Yes. So in Canada, we have the extra blessing. But then if they're unable to pay their mortgage, then they could lose the house. But if they had something as simple as critical illness insurance, they get money to continue with life. So those who understand the power of insurance are the people who enjoy the fruit of the land. So that's living as a living thing. Now, talking about generational now. So when my husband and I had our first baby in 1992, one of the banks approached us and said, okay, you need life insurance now that you have a baby. Our first reaction was, oh, Jesus is coming soon. We don't need life insurance. And we were not messing around. Yes.
You stuck to your guns.
We said Jesus is coming.
Oh my goodness.
We said that when Y2K comes, the world will end. Yeah. We were so sure the world was going to end in Y2K. Okay. So anyway, I don't know how the guy convinced my husband to buy the insurance anyway. So we did. But it turns out it was the wrong type of insurance.
Okay.
It was the wrong type. So what we got was a term insurance, and we didn't know. We didn't know that term insurance is really bad for you. So I covered one of those in my YouTube channel. Yeah. So we got term, so he was covered for $500,000. I was covered for $500,000. 20 years came just like that. Yeah. And his premium went from $36 a month to over $600 a month. Of course, being a Nigerian man, he cursed their father, cursed their mother, told them they were idiots and fools and buffoons and nincompoops and called them all kinds of names.
All the names you can think of.
Yes. Right. And he cancelled. Okay, he cancelled. Fast forward 4 years later, he died. So when he died, my children lost their dad and they lost $500,000. So in terms of generational wealth, what would $500,000 have done for those children? It would have put them through school, no student loans. Yeah. It would have given them a good start, home, down payment for a house, stuff like that. So generational wealth, we must invest in generational wealth. It's an investment. Some people say, oh, I'm investing in RRSP. That's good, but we must not leave the other one undone. It's a case of doing one, but also doing the other. When you're washing your hands, you need both hands. You can't wash your hand one and leave the other one.
Wow.
So we need the investments. There's different types of investments. We need to diversify. And one of the key axes is life insurance.
Financial voice of children in a land that flows with milk and honey.
Yes.
Wow. Could you just throw light to that?
Yes.
Walk us through that.
Yes. So Canada and I would say the United States, North America, I would say, is a land that flows with milk and honey. There is wealth here. There's so much wealth, it's not even funny.
With all certainty, you're saying this?
1 million, 1 billion% sure. Okay?
I believe you.
Yes. But the problem is our mindset. We're so skeptical. Like, there's some people you cannot help no matter what you do. Yeah. There's some people that must die poor.
Really?
Yes.
Will you repeat that again, please?
Some people must die poor.
Why?
Because they choose to. There's nothing you can do. There's some people who, no matter what you do, chairman, they'll say it's a lie, or they've come after me from my grandfather's grave, the superstition, all kinds of things. There's some people who are poor, and their generations will be poor. There's nothing you can do about it. So we're not really out to save everybody, but we're trying to save as many people as we can. So I want you to figure it this way. So this is for Sierra Leone, right? Yeah. How many Sierra Leoneans are in Canada? Do you know, ballpark?
I wouldn't know for whole of Canada, but I think Our population in Edmonton,
Mhm.
I'm cocksure we're over 2,000 now.
2,000. Okay, good.
Let's just put it that way.
2,000 is good. So if you take the population, let's say multiply it by 10, we could be 20,000.
I'm talking about Edmonton.
Edmonton
Alberta.
alone.
Yeah.
So you're not counting Calgary.
No.
So you never mentioned Toronto. Toronto
No.
never did there.
No.
Vancouver never
No,
entered.
no. I'm
And so
just
multiply
talking-
by 10. So maybe safely we can say 20,000.
Yeah.
Okay. What is 1% of that? That's 200.
200.
Yeah. If we had 200 Sierra Leoneans, okay, who are willing to invest in them, in their generation, $1 million of life insurance guaranteed. Not term, guys. When I'm talking life insurance, I'm talking term. Term, I have learned from experience, term, you will outlive your term because we all pray for long life.
I know.
Right? So we all pray for long life and then we buy T20. Now me say we go die in 20 years. I'll be waiting. So then $1 million.
Yeah.
So if we had 1%, I'm not talking 10 or half.
Just one.
1%, 200 Sierra Leoneans who would invest in $1 million of life insurance policy. At some point, the $1 million will pay. That is $200 million in the Sierra Leonean community in Canada. Can you tell me what the impact would be?
That would be great. Great. Dr. Who's Joshua, who is giving us, I don't know how to say this. I've never had this before. I've never had somebody break it down so fast. And you're doing us a world of good here. I wish you would have been here before to give us a lecture on this that you say now. Because most of us don't understand. There's another point I want to bring up. I'm going to say myself. I'm saying, I'm too old to own a property here in Canada. So I'm looking now that at my age, after 60, I'm contemplating retirement. How do I own a house? I'm saying, if I have anything after my retirement, I should take it home and live my life there. Maybe I'll be visiting. So as somebody who is so passionate about ensuring we do something here where we live, what would you say to me, doctor?
It's never too late to own a property.
Am I not too old?
What is age?
It's just a number.
You're just a young man. You're still young and fresh,
Are you hearing that? It's coming from doctor.
He's still young and fresh. I
right.
know that there's some women who want this guy.
Oh, how would I say that? Okay.
So, you can still move on, So, so there's a very common misconception around owning a property in Canada. And that misconception is that of, if I buy a property, then I have to pay it off. Right? Some people go, if I buy a property and my mortgage is amortized over 25 years, I don't have 25 years to pay off a mortgage. That is a misconception from the pit of hell somewhere, right? Because you don't ever have to pay off any mortgage. Did you know that?
I don't know that.
You don't ever have to pay off a mortgage. So there's this concept around mortgages that people need to understand is that every time you're paying a mortgage, you're building something called equity.
What is this equity?
So the equity is the difference between your mortgage balance and the value of the house if you sold it. So even if you have lived in a house for 2 years and the equity is large, you can sell the house and move on.
And you still make it?
Absolutely. So your life is not tied to the house and your life is not tied to the mortgage, because a mortgage is just a number that the banks use to do an arithmetic. So the basic arithmetic is Equity equals fair market value minus mortgage. Simple. So when you sell a house, you sell it at the fair market value, they subtract the mortgage, and then you take the cash. That's your equity. There's other expenses like you pay a realtor, you pay the lawyer, and stuff like that. But those are minor expenses. So let me give you an example. In 1997, and this is where, looking back, I wish we had bought in 91 when we came, but that's okay. We bought our first property in 97. It was a small 2-bedroom apartment in Toronto. I remember, so anybody who knows, it's at Kipling and Steeles in Etobicoke, okay? So we bought that apartment for $77,000 in 1997, okay? We very quickly found out, 7 adults, that we were going to kill each other. It was
Why?
too small. It only had 1 bathroom. So we knew that we were going to kill each other because there were many accidents. Oh, I need to go pee, get out quickly, and all that. So we sold that house in 1 year. In 1998, we sold it.
Oh, are you making? What did you make?
We sold it
anything
for
out of it?
$89,000.
So you made some money out
So
of
we
it.
had about $10,000-ish after paying. We had a friendly realtor who gave us half the commission, whatever, charge. So we had about $10,000 that we now put into a duplex that we bought in 1998. And this duplex had 4 bathrooms. So I was looking for bathrooms. So I bought the bathrooms and the house followed.
That's okay.
Because I went from 1 bathroom, like, no, I'm never going to have to wait to pee, right? So we bought this duplex with 4 bathrooms, 6 bedrooms, okay? And so we were happy. That was 1998. Then Y2K happened, and Y2K, we moved to Calgary, Alberta. So we sold that duplex in 2 years.
Again?
Yes.
Wow.
And we made a bit of money that we now put into another townhouse that we bought in Calgary. Okay, so Y2K, we bought the townhouse at $127K. That was in 2000. In 2004, we built a brand new home, 7 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms. Very important. In Calgary, okay? But we rented out the small townhouse.
Okay.
And in 2006, just when the bubble in Calgary was happening, we sold that townhouse from $127,000 to $260,000. We only had it for 6 years. Okay? So every time you have a property, you have to do the math that you don't need to, number one, live in that property for life.
Oh, okay.
That's number one. You can leave that property the next year. Do the math. Equity equals fair market value minus mortgage.
I'm learning
And then you
something
take your change, even if it's 10,000, and you move on. So a lot of people tie themselves to a city. Oh, I can't change my job because of this house. God, like, we don't need to be tied to the house, and we don't need to be tied to the mortgage. The other thing is, when you buy a house, so our house in Toronto, we ported the mortgage from Toronto to Calgary.
Okay.
So banks can actually move the mortgage from one house to another house. So guys, instead of renting and paying another person's mortgage, buy your own property and build equity. I hope that helps.
Are you listening? Ladies and gentlemen, even the children listening to us now here, Dr. Rose Joshua is just saying to us, repeat again.
Instead of renting, buy the apartment you are renting. Okay? So usually what I tell my clients, I'm a real estate broker, is don't say, oh, I want to know the neighborhoods first before I buy.
Okay.
And it's like,
Okay.
but you're living in a neighborhood. Buy it. Buy the apartment where you're living. while you figure out the other neighborhoods, right? And then we fall into the trap of from wanting to know the neighborhood. You live in that apartment for 6 months, 9 months, 1 year, 2 years. When you're renting, you are flushing money down the toilet.
Do you hear that?
Sorry, I gotta say it the way it is. You're wasting money. And I want to say again, you're wasting money that you could have moved to Africa. Everybody wants to go build something in Africa, or everybody wants to retire, or many people want to retire in Africa. What are you going to retire with if you're renting? So your rental money that you're wasting is your retirement that you're wasting.
So let me ask something. When I was listening to your video, you touched on some issues about one story you gave us about how an old man is much more wiser, sitting down on a hill, even he knows better than a boy who's on a... What do you mean by that? A younger person who is...
Yes.
You touched on that. What was the meaning of that?
So that's a Nigerian adage. It says, an old man sitting down can see farther than a young man on a mountain or on a tree. Okay? So you would think that somebody who is on a tree with binoculars can see
Further, yeah.
But an old man sitting down without the binoculars can see farther. But it's not a physical thing. It's wisdom. It's wisdom. And that is what we tell our younger generations. So you see, the younger generation, a lot of people want to make money today. They want to be wealthy right away. Yeah. So in so doing, they make a lot of mistakes. Okay? So the love of money is the root of all evil. Money is good.
Yeah.
Very good. Money is essential. Money answers all things. But just the inability to be patient in making money can lead somebody into all kinds of things. So one of the things I talk about is young people listening to their parents. Okay? If your parents are not alive or not there, listen to a mentor because they have been there. Like Chairman, you have experienced so much in life. You have suffered. You have, if you see a young journalist today, you will say, do this, do this, do that. Why? Because you've been there. Now, they may struggle and say, oh, who is this old man? But they don't know what you know. They haven't seen what you've seen.
You're right.
So young people out there, please, for your own sake, you're not doing your parents a favor by listening to them. You are doing yourself a favor. And in that video, I talked about people I know who have either died or landed in jail because they didn't listen. So, yes, you want to be a multi-millionaire, multi-billionaire, okay. But listen to your parents so you don't go about it the wrong way. Okay? Don't fall into the trap of all these drugs and gangster stuff and prostitution, all kinds of crap. 419, credit card fraud. There's all kinds of things people do because they want to get rich. You will get rich, but you gotta do it right. Focus on getting that degree. Chairman, the minimum education, basic education, used to be 6th grade many years ago.
That's right.
Then it moved to high school.
Yeah.
Then it moved to bachelor's. Minimum, get a bachelor's. Okay? Nobody is an island. No. We live in a society that holds different things dear. You want to make money, some people say, after all, Bill Gates did not have a degree.
That's what they say.
You ain't Bill Gates. You are not Bill Gates. That's right. Okay? Some people say, Michael Jackson, he landed it big. You are not Michael Jackson, right? So you've got to give yourself at least the opportunity to build something while you pursue the big money. Okay, it's really important to establish that.
Black Lives Matter. You don't like that concept. So what do you want to advise? That instead of being Black Lives Matter, you said no, it shouldn't be.
Well, the thing is, Black Lives Matter, unfortunately, is happening in the United States.
And not in Canada, right?
It is happening in Canada.
Okay.
It is happening in Canada to a much lesser and hush degree.
That's right.
But here's the thing. Back to the generational wealth. If we don't establish generational wealth for our children now, Black Lives Matter will hit them. It's only a matter of time. If you look in Toronto, one of the reasons I moved my children from Toronto was because I saw a trend. I saw that if you went to the jail, most of the young people, they were Black boys. Mm-hmm. So there's systemic profiling already now, mm-hmm. where, our young Black men are in jail.
And women too?
Not so much women. If you look at the U.S., same thing. They don't profile the women as much as they do the men. Why? Because it's the men that sow the seed.
That's right, you're right.
The generations come from the men. Women cannot have babies on their own. So plus is the men that form the children. I can talk with my voice, and this happened to me many times. I say, "Hey, Jerry," that's my son, "go do this," and they won't listen to me. But the minute the dad says, "What is your problem? Will you do that right now?" Everybody runs and scatters. So that male force is what builds the family. Women cannot do it by themselves. Women, listen, sisters, I have found an evil in this society where a lot of our women, I'm not saying it's everybody, okay? Human beings, there's no perfect human being. No. But I think that it's a double-edged sword. But let me address my sisters first, and then I'll come to the guys.
Good job.
Sisters, we need to protect our men. We need to give them the honor that they deserve. And we need to not allow this notion of feminine, what is that thing they call it? Women's liberation.
That's what I wanted to touch on.
Guys, women are liberated already. And, we are liberated especially when we allow our husbands to love us. Okay? We must not allow ourselves to be seen as fighting our husbands. We are told that a righteous woman builds her home. Yeah. But a foolish woman tears her home down. Okay? So sisters, please, let us stop imbibing the bad character of the world we're living in. Okay? And there's some evil people who come and tell you, oh, after all, you make your own money. Why should you listen to your husband? Guys, we need to maintain order in the home. Okay? The husband is the head of the family. The woman is the neck. Because without the neck, the head is useless.
That's right.
Okay? But that neck and the head need to be coordinated for the benefit of the home. Everyone has their role. Nobody is smaller than the other. Okay? So I've said that to my sisters. Brothers, biko. Let us help our sisters.
That's right.
So I'll explain one thing that's a big, big thing here. Yeah. When we were in Nigeria, we had maids. We had, I had help. Okay. Even though I didn't have kids when I was in Nigeria, I still had maids.
Oh.
Somebody who would do your laundry, someone who would do the cooking, someone like sweeping, stuff like that. When we come here, there's no maid.
That's right.
So our brothers, because don't be reading newspaper when the woman is in the kitchen. Why? That is where I think some of the problems start. Where I'm in the kitchen, come and help me. Oh, the woman's position is in the kitchen. Why? Like we're in Canada. So once we come to Canada, we need to drop some of those things that don't help our relationships. I can talk about this the whole day.
Yeah. It's good that you touch on this point.
Yes.
It's good because the point I was trying, you came in handy. Because I know some family members who were together, husband and wife or boyfriend and girlfriend. They were good in Africa. No sooner they came here, the women have been brainwashed. This is Canada. This is America. Or let me concentrate on Canada. It is a woman's world. If your husband talk, call the police, call 911.
Yeah,
come on. I'm happy that you, as a woman, somebody who's been here for so long,
yeah,
highly educated, you're successful. You are saying all of this, and some of the guys too.
Yes,
you come here, you're lazy, you cannot do nothing. Help the woman, as you pointed out.
Yes,
help the woman. If the woman is taking care of the kids, you go to the kitchen and help.
Yeah.
So these are all things we should know. That's how you see many marriages, many relationships are broken.
Yeah.
Because of screwed up advices they get from outside.
Yeah.
Why can't you work together as a team?
Exactly.
I would only hope that going forward, we shall be having such discussions. And to the kids.
Yeah.
The kids too.
Yeah.
You come here, you have respect in Africa. We have the African culture. And as much as we're in Canada, we monitor the culture in Africa. There are lots of bad things here. So we take the bad from Africa, we put it away. We take the bad from Canada, we put it away, and we imbibe the good things, the good values of Africa, you bring together.
Yeah.
The good, so you blend the two.
Yeah.
Not everything is bad in Africa, for all I know. We have very good values. I cannot disrespect a woman because I'm in Canada. So women shouldn't disrespect me too because I'm here.
Yeah.
So with what doctor has just said, this will go a long way. I hope it will go a long way to help. Now that we've been on here for quite a while,
yes,
I hope we would get you one day in the Saloon community to come lecture us about all that we've said here today.
That would be
because
my
I know
privilege.
for sure
Thank you.
it will go a long way to enhance living together as a community, as individuals. So as we round up now, Doctor,
can I add one more thing
Go ahead.
to that
Feel free.
relationship thing?
Yes.
So I have 2 children who are married. I'm a grandma.
Oh, a grandma. How many grandkids? 5, 6,
I have
or
3
10?
grandchildren.
Only 3?
Yes.
I have 10. No, I do have 11.
Wow.
Really?
Good for you.
That's
Good for
right.
you.
Yes.
So I only have 3 and another 25 coming.
Oh, yeah, I know. I know. You need to tell me that. Tell me
Right.
again.
So I said to my daughter and her husband, after they got married, I went to visit. And I said, okay, guys, you need to treat each other like brother and sister. Okay? And I asked each of them one question. I said, Eric is my son-in-law.
Okay.
Which of your sisters is the most annoying? And he was very quick to answer me. He gave me one of the names of his sisters. I'm not going to say it so that she doesn't hear that she's the most annoying.
That's right.
And I said to him, whatever that sister does, do you want to kill her? He said, no, she's my sister. Whatever she does, she's just a silly sister. I said, good. Treat my daughter, your wife, like that. So that no matter what she does, you will never lift a hand against her.
That's right.
And I asked my daughter the same question. I have 2 sons. You have 2 brothers. Which of them is the most annoying? And she was very quick to answer me. And I'm not going to say which one. And I said, treat your husband like that. So if we treat each other like brother and sister, Solomon and his beloved, he said, my beloved, my brother, my beloved, my sister.
That's right.
If we treat each other as siblings, a lot of the things that we pay attention to stop.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, done.
I think when I was 18 or 21, I made promises to my parents. I told them first that I will never ever put anything smoke in my mouth. No cigarette, no nothing. I secondly pointed out that I will never, ever raise my hand on a woman. Never. By then it was girlfriends and then later got married. I never. And the last one I made, I don't want to say here, but I did. I told them, my mom and my dad, that the first woman who would bear me a child, I will marry. And all of those 3 promises I kept faithfully until now my wife passed away. I've never, and I will never, ever raise my hand on a woman. There are temptations, actually. Walk away. Walk away. The women, they are fast to talk, ba, 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 ba. Walk away. Put on your jacket and move.
Yeah, go for a drive.
Yeah, of course. So at times you make up your mind that this I won't do, to help yourself. So that's how I told I have 2 daughters now. I do have stepdaughters back home. I told my in-laws, don't you touch my daughter. Love her. Their mouth is very fast to talk. But use that as something to say, she's your sister. She's your wife. She's your soulmate. She's your palaver mate. Make sure when things go high, bring it low. Walk away and go chill and come back. When about to sleep, wake up, but you didn't talk nice to me. Let's work it out. We can work it out. I would only hope these advices, myself and doctor, we are experienced people. We would only hope this will go a long way to bring some sanity. We've had a lot today about how we could manage. I'm not a good person in financial business. Now that I've made a friend, maybe I will try to change things around. And I would only hope that those listening to this very educative program today will call us again to say, we want to hear again what this program was all about. And Dr. Rose will try to round up for us and all that we've said today. Touch base and let's round up, because it has been very educative. Trust me,
Yes.
I've never had it so well before.
Thank you. Yeah. So anyway, I think everyone, we've heard it all. There's a lot to be said. We want to thrive in Canada. I want all my brothers and sisters to do well. I want us to not be at the bottom of the society. We need to lift ourselves up. We need to do better. So whatever it takes legally to get there, let's work together. I'm available. Chairman is available. We're here for you, okay? We're here for one another. Let's raise our level. Let's level up. And not just us, our children. Let's begin to produce for our children a strong economic voice. We came here for greener pastures. The pastures are very green. Let's take advantage of them. God bless us.
She said, this is a land of milk and honey.
Yes.
Let's taste this milk and honey and let's go places.
Yeah.
Let us taste on it. So what about those who will say, nobody's too, I listened to our program, nobody's too big, you're not too old to learn. You're not too old to get advice. I want you to touch on that too.
Nobody's too old. Until the day we die, we have to be open to advice. Like nobody is too old to take advice. I think the problem we have is pride.
Yeah.
If we drop our pride and our ego,
Yeah.
and who do you think I am? Crap like that. If we drop it, you will find that we can move forward with the advice of people who have experience, who have been there. Yeah.
So now that you've heard it from somebody who has so much experience in everything, we shall draw the curtains down here. Again, we are here to hear the voices and the experiences of everyday people, including the celebrities. One day you'll be a celebrity. I want to believe Doctor is a celebrity in her own right. So we'll round up today. As we say, I will thank my producer and, of course, my ebullient, cosmogonic and tantalizing director. It's me, Daniel Rufus Connor, saying tata, till I get Doctor one day to be with me again on this same podium to tell it all. I thank you and God bless.
God bless you.